This is the April 10th, 2017 meeting of the Auburn Board of Selectmen, and it is being recorded. Is there anybody else recording this meeting tonight? A representative from the Worcester Telegram and Gazette. Being none else, we'll stand and salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have one item on the agenda tonight for public comment, and I will turn this over to Mr. Jacobson.
Thank you very much, through the chair, members of the board. I wanted to just take a second to introduce you to our new senior center director, who started with us actually several weeks ago, but due to a number of different conflicts, had a hard time just making sure that we brought her here this evening. So, Jean, if you want to just stand up and maybe go to the podium for a minute. Jean started with us a couple of months ago. And she's doing a great job, and we want to have you see what she looks like, recognize her face, and I know a couple of you stopped up to the senior center and met her before, so.
Yeah, a couple of people have been in, so thank you. Welcome you all to come down to the center and see what activities that we have going on. We have a new newsletter. There's lots of health and educational and programs, so stop by.
Well, we welcome you aboard. I was up there to see you back, well, basically about a week or so after you got there, and yes, it is. It's very, very busy up there, and these programs seem to be very, very successful, and you have a lot of attendance, so it's, you've got your work cut out for you, but I think that it seems to be moving smoothly, and off we go, so welcome.
Thank you, Ken.
Anybody else got anything?
Just welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Enjoy the position.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you for coming in tonight. Okay, we have no other public comments tonight, and now we have what we've all been looking forward to, is we have to ratify our town manager's contract. We've had a subcommittee of the board to negotiate a contract, and we've come up with an agreeable contract that she's happy with, and we're very happy with, and we'd like to take this time tonight to ratify this contract and go forward and keep her with us. Anybody got anything they'd like to say? Dean Moskowitz, our attorney.
The amendment is in proper form, and I recommend that the board ratify this. You have an excellent town manager, so that I think the citizens of Auburn and the board will be happy with her staying with us for a time period.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just, where we do have the evaluation, I think many of our sentiments will be expressed, the need to keep the town manager in our evaluation, so I will hold my comments. I have a lengthy evaluation, so I will hold my comments till then.
Okay. Well, we are at a point where we can ratify the contract. We'd like to take a vote tonight. Is there a motion? Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman.
Chief Coleman.
Thank you. Before you take that vote, I'm here before you this evening just speaking on behalf of all of the department heads in the town of Auburn, thanking the Board of Selectmen for this action by extending the manager's contract at this time to ensure that we have her in the town of Auburn for the next 5 years. As you are well aware, a lot of amazing things have happened over the last 6 years, and as part of her leadership team, again, on behalf of the other department heads, we thank you again for taking this action this evening, and we look forward to working with the manager over the next 5 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Has anybody else got anything they'd like to add? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we ratify and execute the contract of the town manager.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to ratify and execute, thank you, the town manager's contract. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I don't believe we need a roll call vote for this.
Do not in a public session.
Okay. And so the vote has been taken, and we thank you. tonight and for the TV. The contract now goes till the January 31st of 2023, so we have her for another 6 years, and from speaking with her and seeing some of the programs and projects that she has in mind, the town moves forward, and we are so very lucky to have her here. And again, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Through the chair, and likewise, I have comments too, but I just want to thank the board for their contract extension. I'm thrilled to be staying here. Looking forward to the next 6 years. Hard to believe, it's already been 6, so another 6 years is just terrific, and how could I even possibly think of leaving a team like this? So thank you all, and thanks for coming.
Thank you. Okay, next we have on the agenda, we have the town manager's evaluation. Thank you. The evaluation has been, I'll take a brief recess here.
Oh, I just want to make sure he's...
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Moskos.
Thank you, Attorney. Thank you. Okay, like I say, the next thing we have on the agenda for tonight is her evaluation process, and I have a letter here in front of us to begin the process. It says, "Dear Julie, dated March 23rd, 2017, I am pleased to provide you with a summary of your evaluation by the Board of Selectmen. As you know, board members were to submit their completed evaluations with any written comments to me so that I could meet with the Vice Chair and prepare a summary, cumulative scores, and a final overall score. I met with the Vice Chairman Goodrich on March 20th, 2017 to develop a summary of the evaluations. Board members include some level of written comment, whether on the evaluation form or a separate written summary. Again, I would like to acknowledge and thank you for the level of depth and detail in your evaluation, Julie. The addition of the 3 reports was especially useful and will become part of the record. This certainly was of assistance to me, and I would assume all board members in completing the evaluation. The evaluation was based on the approved evaluation form and 3 additional town manager goals. The average Board of Selectmen score for the evaluation form ranged from 3.9 to a perfect 5.0, and ranged from 4 to a perfect 5 for the 3 goals. Individual selectmen scores range from a low of 3.95 to a high of a perfect 5.0. Julie, I am pleased to share with you an overall performance review score of a 4.79. I would like to schedule the public evaluation for April 10th, which we are here tonight. And I'm sure I speak for the entire board when I say I look forward to meeting so all members can publicly acknowledge your hard work and your dedication. Congratulations on your excellent review and for receiving the highest overall performance review score to date. We look forward to working with you as we continue moving forward in a very positive direction for the entire town. Respectfully submitted, Ken Holstrom, Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Goodrich.
May I begin with my comments?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I have 4 pages of comments here, which will be available, in the public minutes, but I am going to read portions of them. After thoughtful consideration of each component of our formal evaluation, I have decided to rate the town manager's performance over the past year distinguished in all applicable categories. It is my feeling that the manager has continued her exemplary performance, going above and beyond standards in most all areas, which I will enumerate here. We do not merely have a competent manager in Ms. Jacobson. We have a consummate professional whose advice and input is sought by municipal officials statewide. Further, this past year, we had the unfortunate experience of a community tragedy that required skilled and adept leadership to navigate. Ms. Jacobson stepped up to the plate and demonstrated that she is the leader this community needs for the long term. Moving through the categories of our evaluation procedure in order, and I'm not going to read everything, I'm just going to read the first paragraph. The relationship with the Board of Selectmen. As a selectman since the beginning of Ms. Jacobson's tenure, I have consistently found her to be responsive, courteous, and professional in her dealings with the board, both in session and as individuals. It is in my opinion, we are informed of relevant happenings in a timely manner. Further, the manager makes herself available to answer questions or to have discussions on important matters as needed. Her reports are regular and thorough, and as a selectman, I have not found us wanting for any information from the manager. Her manner in doing so remains respectful and friendly. Under town administration, the manager and her team continued to make substantial progress on the 5-year facility improvement plan she initiated, successfully identifying projects that need to be addressed, as well as the funding source, and keeping the town on track to updating and maintaining its assets. The manager's careful attention to this plan and to our town-owned properties will save our community funds in the long run by avoiding costly emergency repairs and delaying replacements to the extent feasible. There's a lot here. Under budget and finance, the manager has worked diligently to reduce costs to the town and to control fixed costs to the extent possible. After seeing a dramatic increase in health insurance expenditures to the town coming down the road, the manager opened negotiations with all labor groups representing our employees to negotiate strategies to reduce the cost impact through co-pays and deductible changes. This process was a success, saving the town a significant amount of money. Other managers who do not work carefully to build productive relationships with employees and employee groups would not have enjoyed the goodwill and respect needed to negotiate those concessions. Under community relations, Ms. Jacobson continues to excel in her outreach to the broader community, ensuring that residents are kept up to date by social media, email communication, and more traditional appearances and conversations with residents. Individual departments and towns now have begun to emulate her approach to the benefit of everyone. Under goals, each member of the Board of Selectmen is also tasked with evaluating the town manager on specific goals established mutually by the Board of Selectmen and the town manager. Ms. Jacobson met these goals, complex as they may be, head-on. I encourage all to review the detailed process and attachments in the report provided to see just what an undertaking these were. In closing, as I considered my formal evaluation of the manager's performance this year, I found myself thinking back to a string of terrible days in May of last year, after one of our community's finest, Police Officer Ronald Tarantino Jr., was slain in the line of duty. This tragedy ripped through our community in so many ways. The immediate public safety concerns surrounded a deadly, violent incident. The grief we all felt as a community member and public servant was lost. The need to support a family left behind, and the need to support and organize community efforts to come together and show support. It is in crises that show what a true leader is made of, and during that awful time, I saw clearly that Ms. Jacobson was the leader the town of Auburn needed. Many may not be aware, but our town manager considers it a vital part of her job to get to know each and every municipal employee personally, to have a working relationship with them, and to let them know the lines of communication with her will always be open. Our manager knew Officer Tarantino, and as a manager and a friend, his loss was something she felt personally. But through that crisis, the manager led and organized the department and staff of our town to support one another and the community. I was struck during those days of difficulty our department heads and other town leaders turned to our manager and the skill and grace which she navigated that outreach. As opposed to merely being a boss or a superior to a group of employees, she is a leader whose guidance and insight is sought by those who serve our town. Her wisdom, calmness, insight, and compassion make a difference to our staff and to our residents in those dark days. Her personal rapport with our dedicated police officers let them know that the town had their back. Her leadership helped to hold this community together at a very trying time. When select boards such as ours bring on a town manager or other municipal leader, we always wonder how they'll be in a crisis. For most communities and for most managers, thankfully, that's something they'll never have to find out. But we did here in Auburn, and we now know that our town manager has what it takes to keep our town functioning and whole against the worst of circumstances. I and so many others will be forever grateful for her steady hand during such a difficult time, and I am proud to rate her performance this year as distinguished.
Thank you, Mrs. Goodrich. Has anybody else got anything else? Mrs. Brotherton?
Mine's a whole lot shorter. No offense, Julie. In reviewing and evaluating our town manager, I have chosen to the highest score of distinguished in all categories. Mrs. Jacobson has feverishly maintained our monies for our town, working on health care and reducing the cost to our town from 12% to 2%. Working with multiple grants in the community, she has set up green energy initiatives throughout our town in many ways. Her dedication to freeing up unfortunate foreclosed properties realized a profit to our town of $164,000. Utilizing our own employees to service and maintain our own fleet of town vehicles was very cost-effective. Most of all, she, along with our finance committee, has been able to maintain a current bond rating with Shea & Poor of such a distinguished AA+ bond rating. Moving forward, Mrs. Jacobson has enrolled the support of many residents to work with our many communities to help develop a pathway for many of our projects that lie ahead. For example, looking into low-income housing, affordable housing for our town, and senior housing, a dog park, and revitalizing Jury Square. These are just a very few. Mrs. Jacobson led our town with grace and professionalism on a dark day, May 22nd, 2016, with the loss of Officer Tarantino and the passing of our beloved former Chief Roger Belhumor. Mrs. Jacobson has continued effortlessly to be available not only to the Board of Selectmen, but to our many departments and department heads. I could go on, but all one has to do is ride around our town. Stop in and say hello to any one of our departments, maybe even stop and play some golf at Packagug Golf Course. Her accolades can be seen everywhere. If you thought I was done. It truly has been an honor to work alongside an incredible mentor. I am so sorry. I have 2 meetings left, so bear with me. I wish her continued success in all of her endeavors, and I thank her for all that I have learned from her during my 6 years serving this great community known as Auburn. Respectfully, Denise Brotherton.
Thank you. Has anybody got anything else? Mr. Berthium?
Being a freshman selectman, there is so much to learn and so much thrown at you in a short period. From the beginning, Julie was gracious and willing to meet with me, answer questions, set up times with other department heads to make me feel comfortable and get me up to speed. My experience so far with Julie is that she is a great leader that utilizes those available to her to achieve the best result, whatever the project or assignment may be. Her preparedness is one like I've never seen before. There is no doubt that she has her homework done prior to every meeting. Her ability to sit with a board or subcommittee and field questions from every direction is impressive. She is not afraid to say she doesn't know, but will get the answer. She is respectful of anyone that comes in front of her. I may not always agree or be happy with everything that happens here in town, but I appreciate the openness of Julie and her staff to discuss issues. Some may say or think, well, that is her job, and it is, but not many can do all those things as well as Julie does. My first week as selectman started with a sadness that I don't wish on any public official. The unnecessary and vulgar shooting of Officer Tarantino, along with the taken too soon death of retired Fire Chief Roger Bellimer, was a tough time for all who lived in Auburn. These events created an incredible group effort and planning frenzy from not only the families of these two wonderful men, but also of all police officers, firefighters, and Julie and her staff. I'm proud to say that these men were honored in style by all. During that time, with everything getting coordinated, Julie did a wonderful job keeping the Board of Selectmen informed. The thing that I noticed most was that regardless of where she lives, the town of Auburn is her town, and she lost two brothers that week. Again, some may say or think, well, that is her job, and it is. But first and foremost, she is human, and she was sad and grieving just like the rest of us. She should be commended for the amazing stamina and strength and support to our public safety departments that she displayed during that time. There is no doubt that there are a lot of things yet to accomplish here in Auburn. The lists and challenges will never end. There is no doubt that Julie will continue to put her best efforts forward to face the challenges and check off items from that list. There is also no doubt that Julie and her department heads are willing to work with anyone with concerns that they bring to their attention or her attention. I am honored to be serving on the Board of Selectmen for my town of Auburn, and I am honored and thankful to have Julie as town manager. I look forward to my next 2 years working together.
Thank you, Mr. Berthew. Well, I guess it's my turn now, and I would like to echo all of your comments. I think they're just right in line with everything that she has seen, witnessed, been part of, projects that have been completed. But it's now April 2017, and we have had our town manager, Julie Jacobson, leading her team since 2011. Her evaluation consists of the many facets of her job, including relationships with boards, departments, administrative, budget and finance duties, community and business relations. This year, she has achieved the highest evaluation score since she began, and Auburn is a better place because of her. Julie never ceases to amaze me with her work ethic, management skills, proactivity, and dedication and professionalism. It's a privilege for me to be here tonight to comment on her extraordinary performance, and I would like to acknowledge our Chief Financial Officer and Assistant Town Manager, Ed Kasanovitz, for his financial expertise and dedication to Auburn. To our department heads, the Division of Inspection Services, Darlene Coyle, the IT Director, Mike Marino, Police Chief Andy Slukas, DPW Director William Coyle, and Fire Chief Steve Coleman. Thank you for your dedication, your professionalism, and loyalty to Auburn that has provided excellent services to our residents and businesses. My gratitude also goes out to those who make Auburn successful. Our employees, our boards and commissions, and to our volunteers. Thank you to you all. Through Julie Jacobson's leadership, direction, and management, she has proposed, planned, and implemented programs and services that provides the town that meets residents' needs and state law requirements. Her ability to put this all in place in a timely manner is exemplary. Julie has worked closely with her team to identify solutions and maintain financial stability through well-researched policies that have increased free cash, stabilization fund, and satisfies our responsibility to our retirees through OPEB. In addition, since 2011, Auburn has received over $2.9 million in grants. Equipment and services purchased with grants allows the operating budget to provide the necessities of departments for efficient and effective services and operation. Through Julie's efforts, foresight, legislative and municipal networking, and professionalism, Auburn is progressive and efficient. Julie strives for progress and excellence. She has a monumental year. She's had a monumental year, and Auburn has been benefited greatly. My sincerest thanks to Julie Jacobson and her team for continually moving our town of Auburn forward and expeditiously and responsibly. Thank you. And I would like to ask Mrs. Jacobson for comments.
Thank you. Thank you all for your evaluation of my performance over the past year. As has been mentioned, it marks the 6th year, the completion of the 6th year since I've been here, and I appreciate all your support as a board throughout the year, both individually and collectively as a board. It means a lot to me. I'm certainly more than humbled by your comments. It's one of the most difficult things to sit here and actually listen also to positive remarks, because as I sit here and listen, and I'm going off the cuff a little bit, I just have to say, everything that you've all brought up happens because of everyone that's here. So I appreciate the credit, but I can't take the credit because it is truly all of us. There isn't a person who's sitting in this audience who didn't play a role in some part of everything that you brought up. And that's what I'm grateful for, to be here with such a tremendous team and a group of professionals. I am honored to be a town manager in this terrific community. I'm thrilled to have a 4-year extension and know that we have another 6 years, because there's a lot of work to be done, and a lot of these projects, as we know, take multiple years. It takes time to do this. I have had just the honor and privilege over the last 6 years to work with this group, many of whom are here today, as well as the rest of the employees who make my job look good, because they do such a tremendous job. I say it every year, and I need to say it again, everything that I get credit for as my achievement really is our achievement. It's not mine. It's all of yours. I don't want to repeat some of the goals that you mentioned in the brevity of time, but I do want to mention just a couple things that did happen throughout the year that I think are highlights in addition to the goals, and I think it has been mentioned by a couple, but just working with 16 unions, and I give all the employees in the unions credit for that, to get 16 unions to understand and recognize that we had to make changes. They weren't easy for any of us, and we all unanimously agreed to those changes, and we brought that health rate down from 12% increase to 2% increase for everybody. And that it's difficult for all of us to have to make those decisions, but I'm grateful to the unions for that. We also, Ed and I and each of the department heads completed the collective bargaining process with all 10 municipal unions in 2016 for 3-year contracts. So I want to thank all of you for working well with us and balancing your needs with the needs of the community. It was mentioned about the tax title auction, which involved the treasurer's office, and I want to thank them for that. They brought in $164,000 worth of revenue to the town and put 4 properties back on the tax rolls. On January 1st, the town assumed the operations, management, and maintenance of the golf course, and want to thank DPW and Bill Coyle and your team for that. You've just done a phenomenal job. We were hoping to break even in the first 6 months. We actually came in about $48,000 above, so we had a net profit of $48,000. We're on track. Hopefully, we need to get a couple of good weeks in. We need the snow to kindly stop and the ground to dry out, but we are on track to do well again this year, and that is in no way due to what I've done, but it's what we have all done as a group, from the marketing, from Kristen and Ed and the new staff that you've got up there. They're incredible. It's a great facility, so we thank you. I know it was mentioned the total grants, but want to thank everybody here, because everybody here applies for grants. We all have it as part of our performance evaluations, part of our goals, and it's paying off. This year we applied for 31 grants, totaling $2.1 million. We received 26 of those grants. That came to almost $450,000. So it lets us buy equipment and put programs into place that help the residents. Again, it's been mentioned, but I have to mention it. While I am extremely proud of the many accomplishments that our administration's made over the past year, I could not have been more proud or honored than to serve this community during the period of profound tragedy in May that has been brought up. The Auburn community and our public safety department suffered an extraordinary loss on May 22nd when police officer Ron Tarantino was brutally killed in the line of duty while conducting a traffic stop. That outpouring of support from the Auburn community, school, municipal departments, elected officials, and communities throughout throughout the whole Commonwealth of Massachusetts and beyond was really overwhelming to all of us and heartwarming. A few hours later on that same fateful day, retired Fire Chief Roger Belhumer, who was our emergency management director at the time as well, passed away from a lengthy battle with cancer. These losses are truly a painful reminder of the risks that the men and women in police and fire departments across the country take every day. So I want to personally thank the Auburn Police Department and the Auburn Fire Rescue Department for their professionalism during that time. Since that time, before that time, there are no departments in this Commonwealth that are as good as yours. I will continue to work diligently with the board, for the board, over the coming years, and I pledge to continue to strive not to just meet the goals that you give me, but to exceed those, and hopefully to make you proud. We have a great team. We're going to continue to provide excellent service to this community at all levels of government, across all departments. I have said it, but I have to say I'm so blessed to have this team that we work with every day. We spend more time here than we probably spend with our families, so it's important that we all we get along, we work well together, we communicate amongst each other. There are no silos within the departments. Everybody works together. So I can't mention everyone by name because it's difficult, but I do want to mention the executive management team. Obviously, our number one assistant town manager and CFO, Ed Kazanovich, who works with me on every level, on everything, every day, and whose financial acumen has really placed this community in a great, strong financial position. Fire Chief Stephen Coleman, who's just a strong leader, effective in any manner, a good leader for a very hardworking, busy department. DPW Director and Town Engineer Bill Coyle, who is a hardworking professional, continuing to manage the many aspects of DPW, including a golf course now. And maybe he'll learn to golf this year along with me. Police Chief Andrew Lucas, who continues to provide excellent leadership and direction for our tremendous and professional police department, especially during this past year. Very trying for everyone, and you are truly a model to look after. Darlene Coyle, who's the Director of Development and Special Services. She's competent, efficient. I don't think she ever sleeps, and she's I think she secretly lives here 24/7, but I would have to say, teasing her aside, she does a tremendous job in a very, very busy department. And Mike Marino, our Director of Information Technology, quietly, silently, and very professionally keeps it all together, keeps all the technology together. So I just want to also thank and recognize all the department and, the division heads and some of those who are here this evening, the senior command staff, Lieutenant Lemon, Sergeant Mills, Assistant Chief Johnson, Matt Benoit, Wayne Bloomquist, Jean Collins, Amy Contois, Larry Corbin, Cindy Cosgrove, Eileen Alexander, Deb Dubois, Ken Fairbanks, Chris Hugo, Jeff Mitchell, Caleb Moody, Marianne Murphy, Kristen Pappas, Joanna Paquin, Deb Shelton, and Cheryl Westerman for their really hard work throughout the year. Also want to welcome Jean Boulette, who was here from the Senior Center, and Seth Willard, both of whom joined our team recently. And also want to thank Town Clerk Deb Grimo and her staff. You work with us every single day, and we work great together, so thank you. And want to thank the command staff at both the police and fire department. You are consummate professionals. We're lucky to have you on our public safety team, just as we are all the employees, DPW, DDIS, library, public services. We have a very good group. And I have to thank Sharon, Sue, and Shannon in my office for the support that they provide, not just to the town manager's office, but to the Board of Selectmen as well. It's incredible, the volume of people who come into that office, and they're serviced professionally and efficiently and always with a smile. Lastly, and certainly not least, just want to thank the board and commission members who serve this community. It's a difficult job to volunteer for any board, commission, or committee. We all know, we've done it. It's not easy, and sometimes you get together with people who've never met, and you're trying to accomplish a project that you've never worked on, and it's a challenge. So we want to thank everyone who does do that on behalf of the town. Hopefully we continue to have great volunteers like we have now. So I want to thank you for the professional evaluation process. It is much appreciated, not just by me, but I think by everybody here, because we know that you support us as a town administration, and that goes a long way for all of us. It makes us feel good about doing our jobs every day. So thank you very much. And thank you for the contract extension.
Thank you.
Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
5-minute recess.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. We're in recess. We are back from recess. First, I'd like to move up item 5C, Apple New England.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Apple New England LLC, change of manager at 680 Southbridge Street in Auburn. I don't believe we have anybody here from Apple, but this is just a name change on the change of manager at Applebee's in West Auburn. Is there a motion? Mrs. Goodrich.
Mr. Chairman, we generally at least make an inquiry of the new manager regarding tip certification, et cetera, the familiarity. I'd ask that we hold this until just a little bit longer to see if the applicant comes in.
Okay. We'll put that on hold for now.
Thank you.
Okay. The next we have, I understand, let's see. We got items, was it 6F? 7F. That's Off the Hook Roadside Eatery Transit Vendor. Yes. Can we move that one up?
Make a motion, we move it up.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right. Off the Hook Roadside Eatery Transit Vendor License Mobile Food Truck at Chuck's Steakhouse. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You are the representative from Off the Hook?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you care to come up here and join us at the table, please? Okay. Let me just get my paperwork in place here. We're moving things around a little bit to manage the meeting. Would you identify yourself and tell us a little bit about what your plans are?
Absolutely. My name is Adam Foreman. I'm currently the chef at Chuck's Steakhouse. And this is a new adventure for me. I kind of started last year. Ideally specializing in New England style cuisine, street food. Chowder, lobster rolls, fried clams, that whole ordeal. Steve and Tom have been good friends of mine for a while. I was previously at Cohasset Country Club, so we worked out kind of a deal. If I came to Chuck's, they would grant me the opportunity to do the food trailer there a couple days a week.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to ask it directly. You have had the permission of the owners of Chuck's Steakhouse to do this business in the parking lot from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Yes, sir.
On Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 11 o'clock in the morning till 2 in the afternoon.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Has anybody got any other questions, comments? Mrs. Goodrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess it's more, well, I'll ask the applicant this question before I ask Mr. Moody. Do you plan on having any signage? I know people put out flags or
Yeah.
those
I asked at the last meeting about that and what exactly I needed to do to be able to have, I would like to put a lobster roll feather flag and an open flag, just of the hours of operation.
Okay. And I'll just, through the chair to Mr. Moody, I just want clarification that there's nothing additional needed.
Ms. Jacobson, we're going to have Caleb come forward.
Yes.
Please, thank you.
I just want to be sure that there's no additional action that needs to be taken to put any signage out
No, the signs will just be sign permits through my office.
through your office.
Yes.
And does he currently have those, or he has to go?
I would have to obtain them.
I don't believe anything's been issued to date.
Okay. And just for our own records, because we've asked it of other applicants, if you could ask the owners of Chuck's Steakhouse just to provide the town with written notification that they're allowing you this operation on their property.
Sure. We submitted something to the Board of Health regarding it, stating that we could use the there was permission A, and then I was granted permission for trash and if there was any oil waste or anything like that. So if you need more than that,
So through the chairman, just if we can coordinate that, just to be sure that that document is included in our paperwork for consistency and applications.
And I see that you've also had a chance to meet with the DCG, and the applicant shall obtain all the necessary permits and inspections from the town departments, boards and commissions, most notably the Board of Health, and it seems like you've done that. I'm sorry. I'm just going to finish up the DCG, and then we will get to a question. The applicant must receive a municipal permit from the Auburn Police Department. The applicant must obtain a permit from the building department for applicable signage, and we're discussing right now. So is there a question? Mr. Berthium.
Just, and I'm sure you've gone over this with the proper boards, but my concern is always, as it was with the Harley Davidson hot dog truck, where are you going to put that? Cars are coming flying down that road. It's going to be new. Are you planning on putting your cart or truck back further away from the road so that people can get in off the road? My fear is that people are going to come in right into Chuck's. They're going to see your truck. They're going to try to turn. Somebody else is going to try to come in. There's going to be people. I'd rather see it up, back away from the Route 20 area. Obviously visible, but so that cars can pull in and have a chance to park without hitting pedestrians.
okay. When I drew they wanted me to put a little diagram together, and how the diagram is that I was going to be parallel with Route 20, but basically back at least one of the parking spaces. So in between almost a row. And then once we got established a little bit, I was going to go closer to the park because moving forward we were planning on, Steve and Tom were going to purchase a couple of picnic tables to put up on the park end, but on their end of the property. So it was further away from the road.
The Dunkin' Donuts end of the property?
Correct. Okay. There's that little town park where the skating rink is.
Okay.
Kind of like right there. And that would be the ideal spot for everybody, but until I think I've noticed or seen, it would be, easier if you could be a little bit closer to 20.
Okay. Does anybody else got anything else? Okay, being none, I'll entertain a motion. Mrs. Brotherton.
I'm sorry, you gotta get back to my page again. I apologize. I'd like to make a motion to approve the license, provided that all applicable requirements of the state, town, and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all the conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all of the conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void, along with the conditions of the DCG to be placed on the license.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? And have you got any other comments?
No, thank you guys very much. I hope to see you there.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Okay, we've still got 20 minutes before our first hearing. Okay, we can.
What do you have in there?
We're waiting for Mrs. Coyle to bring in board members. So she'll give me the high sign on that. Yeah, we can do 7G, vote on the recommendations for the annual town meeting warrant articles.
Motion to move up item 7G.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. So this is vote on the recommendation for the annual town meeting warrant. The recommendations would either be recommend approval, not recommend approval, defer to the petitioner, or take no position at this time. and make a recommendation at the town meeting. Having here someplace. There it is. Okay. Let's see. I guess first off, I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions, any comments on any of the articles on the warrant. Mr. Carpenter.
Mr. Chairman, we can certainly take them in order. I don't have that many questions, so if people just want to go through the warrant, I'm happy to, with your indulgence, ask the questions when we get to the warrant.
And I guess through Mr. Jacobson, is the warrant in order? Were there some questions the other night at the Finance Committee? Or is there something we can just move along with here by our recommendations?
Through the chair, the warrant that you see in front of you is the warrant that will be mailed out.
Okay.
We did have a couple comments that had come back from town council that were incorporated into what you have in front of you. That being said, when you get to item, pardon me for looking, just skip around a little bit. When we get to item 8B, which is the ballot question for the recreational marijuana, if the board decides to vote that to go on to the ballot, I would recommend that you go back to the warrant and vote the warrant as amended to include that ballot question at the back. The ballot question is not an article, but it's attached at the back of the warrant. They always show the election ballot, so when people get mailed their warrant, they also see the election ballot, so you want to make sure that they see the question if indeed you vote that way.
Okay.
So I think my recommendation would be you can go through the warrant item by item now, and then we can always go back and take an amended vote depending on your position on the ballot question.
Okay, thank you. All right, I guess we'll start with Article 1, and I don't know if we're going to get through and read all these individually, but it's to hear the reports of the Finance Committee and the other town offices and committees. And that's, so we'll need motions to recommend, not recommend, refer, what have you.
Mr. Chairman, on Article 1, I'll make a motion we defer to the petitioner.
Okay, Article 1, defer. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, Article 2, to see if town meeting will fix the salary and compensation of elected town officers. Mrs. Goodrich.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we defer to the petitioner.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second to defer for on Article 2. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
There's an opposed?
There is an opposed.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that. Okay. Article 3, to determine what sums of money the town meeting will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, or provide for and appropriate. Is there any, is there a motion?
Motion to recommend approval.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to recommend. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Article 4, town meeting to vote the capital improvement budget.
Motion to recommend.
Motion been made, seconded to recommend. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Article 5, to see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the town treasurer with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue to be received during the financial year, July 1st, 2017, ending June 30th, 2018.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Article 6, see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to submit applications for available state and federal funds, including...
Motion to recommend.
Okay. Motion been made to recommend?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Article 7, to see if the town meeting will vote to authorize Board of Selectmen to sell at public auction or by sealed bid at assessed value under special circumstances any properties which the town may have acquired.
Motion to recommend.
Motion made to recommend. And there was a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Article 8, to see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the town treasurer to enter into compensatory balance agreements during the fiscal year 2018.
Motion to recommend.
Okay, motion made to recommend. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, and there's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Article 9, to see if the town meeting will vote to establish or renew revolving funds.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a question to the town manager. Can she enlighten us? Are there any new ones other than what is showing up in the body of the article itself? And what would the purpose be for the new ones?
There, if I may through the chair, there is a warrant article that seeks to establish a new one for the dog kennel and maintenance, which is, let me just locate that for you.
No, I saw that. I just didn't know if under this article there were going to be any new ones that weren't enumerated within the Article 9, or actually, yes, 9. Are there any new ones that aren't specifically called out? That was my only question, Ed. Thank you. Motion to recommend.
Okay, motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Article 10, to see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract or contracts with the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for construction and maintenance of public highways.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to recommend.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded for Article 10. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Article 11, to see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate from available funds a sum of money if it becomes available from the Mass Department of Transportation, Chapter 90 bond issue, proceeds for the repair and maintenance of town roads.
Mr. Chairman, if it pleases you, I would make a motion that we recommend Articles 11 through 14.
Okay.
Which are all standard articles that we see every year.
Okay.
That would be my motion.
So you're making that in the form of a motion to go with Article 11, 12, 13, and 14?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a second?
That's a motion to recommend.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, the motion been made to recommend 11, 12, 13, and 14. Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Article 15, to see if the town meeting will vote to accept the provisions of Chapter 40A, Section 13E of the Mass General Laws establishing a special education reserve fund. Mr. Carpenter.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the manager or the CFO, can you just explain this? I've read something about it in the press, but what would be the purpose? And
This reserve requires a vote of town meeting to establish. Once established, then up to 2% of net school spending is allowed to be appropriated and put into this reserve account on an annual basis. In order to expend out of this reserve account, it does not need a vote of town meeting, but it does need a vote of the Board of Selectmen and the school committee. There are a lot of gray areas relative to its use right now that the school business manager is seeking from some of her other peers out in the field. This is a relatively new account. I think it was established by the legislature by a vote in 2016. So communities are now pursuing the establishment of this account to provide for funds for any extraordinary and unforeseen special educational needs.
Mr. Chairman, if I can just follow up. So you said there are gray areas. So it isn't specifically limited to spending on special ed? Is that what I'm hearing?
My understanding is once it's appropriated within the school district, it has to go into the stabilization account. Problem being is when you in town meeting votes a budget for the school department, it's not a line item budget, it's a bottom line budget. Given that, do they have some flexibility during the year to identify some surplus funds and create the account during the year? That is unknown. situations like that, we are seeking some additional information to see what's allowed and what's not.
Okay. Do you anticipate that we'll have answers before town meeting?
I just had some recent discussions with the school business manager yesterday. They are reaching out through DESI and some other local officials to determine its use. Okay. So hopefully, the short answer is hopefully yes.
Okay.
Mr. Berthew?
Through the chair, so we're sending this to town meeting, but they're going to come back to us because we have to vote on it as well as the school committee? Is that what you're saying?
Once established, if they need to transfer money out of the stabilization account, which would be a standalone account, back into the operational side of the budget, the law right now requires a vote of the school committee and the Board of Selectmen.
Mr. Chairman,
I don't know if that's a joint vote. I don't know if that's a separate vote. That's another area that we're not clear on.
with such little information at the time, I'm going to make a motion that we take no position at this time on Article 15.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so the motion been made and seconded for no position on Article 15. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would just ask that the CFO, that maybe it should be a separate motion that we ask him to give us a report before town meeting so that we can take action one way or the other.
Okay. Keep that in, just add that to the motion.
I will include it in the motion if that's appropriate.
Okay, and the second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I will be happy to provide a report because I am not the sponsor of the article, I'm going to seek that report through our school department to answer some of these questions that we have raised tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Article 16, to see if town meeting vote to amend Article 3, the capital improvement funds of the May 2015 town meeting, central administration building rehabilitation.
If I can just ask a question to the CFO, are these monies, they're repurposing these monies? Was the work done on the building, or are they just finding that they have a more immediate need in this fiscal year to do windows versus whatever the building rehab project was to be?
Chair, Article 16 currently is authorized but not borrowed, so it would be an amendment to a present authorization. So originally this was written to repurpose. The repurpose provision of an article would require a reuse of already borrowed funds, so this is strictly an amendment. 17, the $3,862 has been borrowed and is being repurposed for this same project.
Are they taking something, are they not doing something for the 45, irrespective of it's not being repurposed, but it's in there, it was in the 2015 CIP, so I'm just trying to figure out what the 45 was going to be used for.
I don't know, because the original intent of the article was for central administration building rehab. This is central administration. I think it's just more specifically defining what it's going to be used for.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, and Article 16, 17, 18 appears to be capital improvement repurposing, so maybe we could take that as a group and move them on. If there was a motion that you want to make on that?
I would make a motion on Articles 16 and 17 for approval. I would like to ask a question about the kitchen equipment.
Okay, so we make a motion on Articles 16 and 17 for approval?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the motion been made, second. Any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Article 18, we go to see if the town meeting will vote to repurpose CIP funds to support the replacement of the burner at the high school, and it's amending the May 2016 town meeting.
Yeah, I'm just...
Mr. Carpenter?
It seems like an awful lot of money for a burner, so I'm trying to figure out what kind of burner we're talking about. $20,000?
I don't have an explanation for you.
Okay.
I'd be happy to get that for you.
I appreciate that. That would be great. I would make a motion that we take no position at this time, just awaiting further information from the CFO.
Okay. Motion been made for no position on Article 18. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Berthium, second. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Article 19, to see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $46,000 from general fund revenues for the care and maintenance of Mary D. and Julia Bancroft school buildings.
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Article 20, see if the town meeting will vote to approve the provisions of Acts of 1993, Chapter 110 and Section 110, which reduces the required time of domicile in the state under Chapter 59 and 5 clauses 22. This is a lot of legal paperwork documentation here, so I guess my question would be, can we ask here a little bit about what this is?
Mr. Chairman, Articles 20, 21, 22, and 23 are a result of the board's action to explore some relief, which Selectman Mr. Berthium served on. We brought back some recommendations to the board that resulted in the preparation of these warrant articles. These articles seek to offer relief by way of loosening up on some of the limits that offer exemptions for our veterans as well as those of low income. So that's what these articles are seeking to do.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would take Articles 20, 21, 22, and 23, all of which we're sponsoring. I would make a motion that we recommend approval. I did note in Article 22, it looks like in the second sentence following after Clause 56, which allows, we have and exception of 50%. I think it's supposed to be an exception.
Oh, I see. Yeah, which allows an exemption. Okay, so that's just a typo.
Scrivener's error, please.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, so the motion been made and seconded to recommend Article 20, 21, and 22 with the correction.
23.
And Article 22. Is there a second?
Were we including 23 in that?
Yes.
I'm sorry, in 23.
And I seconded it.
Okay, so the motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Article 24, to see if the town meeting will vote to establish a revolving fund for the Department of Development and Inspectional Services. Is there a motion?
I just had one question, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Carpenter.
To the CFO. Is there a limit on how much money can be kept in this revolving account? I know that there's a requirement that expenditures can't exceed $10,000 in a given fiscal, but can this, grow to any amount, or is there a ceiling to how much money can be in the revolving account?
There's a ceiling.
There is a ceiling.
Ceiling is written here would be $10,000.
Okay.
I just want to let the board know, this would be the last year for the, how these revolving accounts are presented at the annual town meeting. There has been a change in the Modernization Act of the bill that was passed that are going to require that we establish bylaws for each one of our revolving accounts. And they would eliminate the limits, but would restrict those funds in such a way that would be dictated by the bylaw, and they would no longer have to go, as I understand it, to annual town meeting once the bylaw is established.
Interesting. I'll make a motion that we recommend.
Second.
So the motion been made and seconded for Article 24. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Article 25, to see if the town meeting will vote to appropriate $12,700 from available funds for the state primary election account.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to recommend.
Second.
And any discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll make a request that we go back to our regular agenda items.
Okay. Okay, we're going to go back to our regular agenda. Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, so now we go back to, let's see. All right, it is 7:15, and we have Emmanuel Motors Motor Vehicle Class 2 license at 893 Southbridge Street in Auburn. It is 7:15, so we will take that. Is there a representative from Emmanuel Motors here? Yes, would you come up and join us, please? Mrs. Goodrich.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to open the hearing.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mrs. Goodrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have a disclosure I need to make. I received by certified mail notice of this hearing as an abutter. I have filed a disclosure form with the town clerk's office that I can participate in this vote. I have no financial interest in this license, and I pledge that I can take a fair and objective oath. This has been filed with the town clerk's office, and I will give Sharon a copy for our records.
Okay. Thank you, and so noted. Okay. Would you care to identify yourself and tell us a little bit about what you'd like to do?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Selectwomen also. My name's Mark Evangelos, and I'm taking over a business that used to be called K Motors at 893 Southbridge Street. And that fellow went out of business. So my rent started April 1st. I didn't realize it was such a long process to try to get a license, but I went in front of the planning board and got approved. And I went in front of the DCG last week, and they approved it. And this is the last step I have to do, is to go in front of this board. And it's a Class 2 car license. I'm not doing anything differently than what was currently there. It was a 15-car lot license there. I think, frankly, the fellow that went out of business went out because he didn't have enough cars for sale. So I did want to have more cars. But in the spirit of cooperation, I agreed to go to the 15 cars, continue the business, and try to make a run. And then maybe a couple months down the road, when the cash flow's there and I have time, maybe I can come back and propose a few more cars to be able to sell there. Because the more cars you have out exposed or displayed, obviously, the more chances are that it's going to be more profitable for the company. So I'll be just basically cleaning up the place. The place is pretty much a pig pen. And the landlord's not really doing anything. He just said, here's the place, you can take it. I got to clean the other guy's stuff out. I got to clean the whole yard. I'm going to be painting, getting rid of the tires that's there, and basically landscaping a little bit. It's hard to landscape. Most of it is hard top around that facility, but I'll be cleaning it the best I can, changing the name, obviously, to Emmanuel Motors, and my wife and I will be running the business.
Okay, is there going to be any repairs being done there?
There might be light repairs but basically no oil repairs like that, no transmissions. But if I need to change a wiper, if I need to fix a few things on the door and maybe a headlight, well, just the minor repairs. Okay. But I'm not an auto body fella. I bring that all to my mechanic. He does all the checks on the cars, does the repairs in reference to, mufflers and brakes and, getting the safety check on the vehicles. But no, I won't be doing any of that there. Maybe some general cleaning of the vacuuming and stuff like that, minor things, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And I see that the back end of the lot is a dirt lot. Will you be parking anything out there?
Probably just a couple of, maybe my wife and I will park our cars as employees. There's only going to be 2 cars there, 2 employees.
There won't be any of your business portion vehicles out there?
No, for the most part, they're going to be on the front of the building, away from the road, obviously, to keep it from the sidewalk. That was one of the contingencies with the planning board, so they wanted to make sure of that, so we agreed to that, which makes sense, of course. You don't want to be in the walkway there. And I have a handicap spot to the right that I'm going to designate, and a couple cars maybe to the right there, on the right-hand side. But for the most part, they'll be in the front there, Mr. Chairman.
Is anybody got anything else? Mr. Carpenter?
Just a point that the bylaws don't allow you to park a vehicle on an unpaved surface, so there should be no cars on any unpaved surface.
You're absolutely correct. I know that. Thank you.
Okay, I guess Mr. Berthew? Nothing? Okay, I guess my question is, how will you be bringing cars in? Will there be any cars bringing in on trailers, or, because we don't want to unload trailers or any cars on the Route 20. That's a pretty difficult spot out there.
Sure, it's a very small car lot, so I'll have 2 plates, dealer plates, and then when I buy a couple cars at the auction, I'll just drive those over.
Okay.
Or if I get more than two cars, then they have these larger trailers that they load up, they unload them, pull them off, and then they go away. There's no large trailer. Currently, there's a trailer there, and there's 2 trailers there. If you drive by there, you'll notice them. K Motors, he started in the business originally doing transporting vehicles from the auction to each of the different car dealerships. So you'll see those 2 iStores there. So I can show you those won't be there because I'm not in that business, and I'm so happy that they're out of there because they don't look good there behind the building. So I'm doing onesies and twosies for the most part. It's a small business that I'm just trying to get off the ground, and so to answer your question.
So you won't be unloading trailers on Route 20 then? You'll be bringing cars in by 1 and 2s?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, if there's nothing else,
Mr. Chairman, I'll just ask the applicant if he's familiar with the conditions on
thank you.
by DCG.
Have you got a copy of those in front of you?
Let me see here. Yes, the conditions, do you have a copy in front of you? Oh, good. Oh, thanks. This meeting was so fast last week, I didn't get a copy. So this got typed up and I haven't even received a copy, but I'm familiar with it. I think it was basically, do you want me to read them, or am I familiar? Of course, I agreed to them.
Yes.
Chairman, if we'll allow him a minute to read, just so he
Yes, would you please, so we can put it in the record?
Okay. The applicant shall obtain all necessary permits and inspections from the town departments, boards, and commissions. Proof of a bond must be provided to the selectmen in advance, which I did. Washing of motor vehicles on the property shall be prohibited, which I agree to. The applicant must ensure that saleable inventory vehicles shall not exceed 15 vehicles, which I agree to, and to take care of his question, it must be parked on impervious surface within the designated parking spaces, and the installation of a video surveillance camera is not required but highly recommended, which I'm the one that mentioned that. I told the board at that time that I probably will do that, but this makes some cash flow going because they get expensive to do a surveillance camera. But so it's in the pipeline.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Make a motion to close the hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to close the hearing. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Now I'll entertain a motion. Mrs. Goodrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we approve the license provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void. And with the conditions of the DCG, which I would like to add one in my motion, just so that it's clear that there shall be no loading or unloading of any vehicles on the state highway to be placed on the license.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Mr. Evangelos, have you got anything else?
Well, yes, Sharon. Who's Sharon? Me. Oh, hi, Sharon. I'm supposed to give these to her.
Okay.
Because they're the physical ones for the abutters. And besides that, thank you for your time, and
Okay.
ask for your consideration.
So motion has been seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good luck.
Well, thank you, everyone. Good evening. Have a good night.
Thank you for coming in. Let's see. We've got 6 minutes by my watch.
There might be someone from Applebee's here at this point.
Okay. Is there somebody from Applebee's here? Yes. Oh, okay. Then we will go back to item
5C.
5C is, yes, 5C. Can we move 5C up, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, let me get back to where we were here. Okay, this here is a change of manager at 680 Southbridge Street, and is there any questions, comments? Mrs. Goodrich?
Just like the applicant to come up and introduce himself.
Yes, would you please come forward?
And thank you.
Thank you. My name is Mbai Gak. You can call me Babakar. I'll be taking over the Auburn stores. I was in the Sturbridge store for a while. I worked in Millbury before that. I've been doing this for more than 20 years. This is all I know.
Okay. Is there questions, comments? Mrs. Goodrich?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to make one comment because we've had many changes of manager. Being in the business as long as you have been, I'm sure you're very familiar with CHIP certification.
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the things that our board feels very strongly about is being very aware that you're not serving underage drinkers. So please, familiarize with yourself with the staff. Make sure that they're doing what they need to do to make sure that no underage serving of alcohol happens under your watch.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Is there anything else? Being none, I guess I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the change of manager.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Looking forward to see you all over there. Come on and have lunch or dinner, whatever you want.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Couple minutes still.
Yeah, still got a couple minutes here.
I don't know who else is here. There's two people. There's one.
Is anybody here from the Auburn Lanes and AMF Auburn Lanes? 10 pin? Okay.
Boy Scouts.
Anybody from the Boy Scouts here? Yes, we do have one from the Boy Scouts. So can we move up items 7D and... Yes.
Find out what troop she's from.
Yes. What troop? Okay. So can we move up 7C and D, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Would you please come up and join us? Would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're planning on doing?
Yes. My name is Crystal Carpenter, and I am one of the leaders in Troop 101, the church right up here. And we are asking for 2 open-air licenses.
One on April 29th?
April 29th, so that we can have our annual bottle and can drive at the fire station. And then we're also asking for Memorial Day weekend for that Saturday for the library, so that we can have our yard sale, our annual yard sale.
All right. Is there any comments, questions? Okay. And we also have a letter from Fire Chief Steve Coleman regarding the request, and he would request that they set up in the municipal lot adjacent to the firehouse, I believe, where you've been there before.
Yes.
Across the street from Savers Bank. And this will give room for traffic coming in and out of the lot and will be out of the way of moving emergency vehicles. So if you're agreeable to that, then we should be fine with that. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the license, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all the conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void. I'd also add that because this is a nonprofit, that we waive the fee.
Second.
Okay, so motion been made and seconded. Mr. Berthew.
I'd just like to ask with the yard sale, if Is that something that people are buying booths through the Boy Scouts or?
The yard sale?
Yeah, or is that, like, do they bring tables, buy tables, or is it all things that the Boy Scouts have collected to try to sell?
It's all things that the Boy Scouts collect. So we've started the process already because Memorial Day weekend is coming so quickly now. We start the process already. We do advertising for if you've got something at your home that you don't want anymore, that you want to donate it to us so that we can sell it at our yard sale. But everything is brought in basically on Friday night, I believe, that they start the setup, and we open the crack of dawn on Saturday morning, and by 5 o'clock we're sweeping the parking lot and everything's all done.
Great.
And where would people find the advertising, or is there a contact for that?
I believe it's the Auburn News, and the two contacts are Mike Villa and I believe Fred. But you can also, you can contact the church, right? I don't remember the name of the church, and I apologize. I'm unprepared. Or Dr. Larry Reach. He can also be one of the people. But I know that Dr. Reach said last night that he started putting things in the Auburn News.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're working on 7C, and that's for the bottle and can drive at the fire station on April 29th. The motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And then for item 7D, the Boy Scout Troop 101, the open air license on the town property for the troop sale, the library.
Motion that we approve the license, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license, subject to all conditions stated upon it, failure to comply with any and all conditions, shall invalidate the license and render it null and void. Also adding waiving of the fee, as this is a nonprofit.
Okay, and then there's a second. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And thank you for coming in, and good luck.
And I thank you very much. And again, we hope to see you there.
Okay. Anybody from, let's see, it's 7:30. Let's go back to... All right, so it's 7:30 now. We have a hearing for Packland Auto Sales, motor vehicle class 2 license at 113 Washington Street. Yes, would you come up and join us, please? Is there a motion?
Motion to open the hearing.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to open the hearing. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay. Hi, everyone. Let's see, we're at 5. There it is. Okay. All right. Would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what your plans are?
Sure. My name is Umar Mahmood, and I'm the owner of Parkland Auto Sales. I'm just trying to get the license on the place. There was a dealership on the same place from the former tenant, and we pretty much discussed the site plan and everything in the DCG meeting like 5 days back. And my rent is already started from the 1st of April. We cleaned the whole lot, and I'm pretty much prepared for everything.
Okay. What is the operation going to consist of?
It's class 2, yeah.
Okay. So it's all going to be used cars then?
Yeah, it's going to be used cars.
And we have a limit of, you've got 19 spaces.
19 spaces, yeah.
And will you be using all of those spaces?
Not at the very start.
Okay.
But yeah, the spaces are like 19 spaces are approved, so will not exceed that. And they're like optional two. One is the optional parking, and 2 are for the customer parkings. Okay. So we're going to utilize these 3 parkings for my parking, or 1 for the customer, and 1 is actually the optional parking is going to be for the handicap. We're just going to paste the signs over there.
Okay. And I see that you've met with the DCG, to obtain the necessary permits and inspection from the town departments, boards, and commissions. Yes. Proof of a bond must be issued.
Already given, yeah.
Okay, to the selectmen in advance of the initial public hearing, which we have. The washing of motor vehicles on the property shall be prohibited.
Yeah.
And the applicant must ensure that saleable inventory vehicles not exceed 18 vehicles and must be parked on impervious surface within designated parking spaces.
I'll make it 18, yeah.
18.
Okay, I'll make it 18.
Okay. And then the applicant shall reserve the parking space labeled optional for the handicap van accessibility.
Oh, yeah, I've already.
Is there any other discussion? Mrs. Goodrich?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if you were sitting here when we had the discussion with the previous applicant about loading and unloading on state
Definitely,
highway.
yeah.
It is not allowed, even if it's one of those trailers that holds 2 or 3 vehicles, you're not allowed to load or unload on the state highway.
Okay, sure, yeah. There's a lots of space in the parking lot, so yeah, this is actually a fence, like there's a fence at the back, and it's all premises with the curb on almost every side. So trailer can easily get into the parking lot, and it can like load and unload in the parking lot. So this will not, we'll take care of that.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions or comments? Being none, we'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Now I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the license provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and neighbors departments, boards, and commission have been fulfilled. Said license subject to all conditions stated upon it. Failed to comply with any and all conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void with conditions of the DCG to be placed on the license.
Okay, the motion been made and seconded. Mrs. Goodrich?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would ask if Mr. Carpenter would consider including the condition there shall be no loading or unloading on a state highway.
I will amend it to include that, but I would just suggest that as we renew, we do this to all the car dealerships.
We do.
I've never heard that motion.
Well, that's generally because it's included in the conditions.
If it is, it is. I have not seen it, so if we're going to do it for the small guys, we need to do it for everybody.
I think it's more of the location because it's Route 20. And I
All
think
on
that's
Route 20.
A big pardon?
They're all on Route 20 and all on Route 12.
Yes.
So
We don't-
they're all on a state highway.
Okay.
But I will do so without objection.
And the second, Mrs. Brothers? Yes. Okay, so the motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Mahmood, have you got anything else?
Thank you so much.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good luck.
Thank you so much, yeah.
Thank you for coming in tonight. Okay. Now, we have no communications. Mrs. Coyle? Okay, let's see, we've got to move up another one here. That will be, all right, that'll be 8C? 8C, recycling regulation.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. And we will turn this to Ms. Jacobson?
Through the chair, I'm going to pass this out while Darlene walks you through this along with Amy Sullivan. This is a recommendation that's going to the Board of Health later this week, and I just wanted to bring you up to speed on it.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much. Darlene Coyle, Director of Inspectional Services and Board of Health Director. And I am here with Amy Sullivan, our Recycling Coordinator. I would also like to recognize in the audience Board of Health Chair Ray Gothier in the back and Board of Health member Carolyn Griffin. We are here tonight to inform you of a recycling regulation that's being proposed by the Board of Health in support with the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. So over the past several years in my capacity as the Health Director, I've had the opportunity to work closely with both of these boards and also watch what's happening in solid waste. It's a pretty dynamic time over the past several years with a lot more focus on solid waste disposal. As you may recall, we've had a contract renewal within the past couple of years. We've also had a disposal amendment that we worked through in the past several years, just try to save money, and recycling is something that we have looked at to try to make improvements. Working with Solid Waste Advisory and our recycling coordinator, we have over the past several years looked to opportunities to be able to save the town money, to increase recycling, to expand education, and we have done all of those things. However, as waste generation increases, recycling rates are just remaining flat. So there was an opportunity through the Department of Environmental Protection within the past year to apply for a grant, and we were fortunate to be approved for that grant. As part of that grant, a recycling regulation is required by the town. Ironically, recycling has always been required from the town since we went through the toter system, the automatic 2 toters that residents have for recycling and trash. Since we've gone with that program, we've had recycling as being required. This gives us the opportunity to actually have somebody to devote to solid waste and recycling, to bring awareness to residents, to know what goes in the recycling toter and what doesn't. Obviously, we are very passionate about making sure that people are recycling, and I think residents, just by being in my office, we received a lot of calls about people not wanting to throw something away, wanting to find where that item is supposed to be recycled. So we spend a lot of time doing that. This opportunity will allow somebody to be able to just be designated for recycling, awareness, and solid waste.
Okay. So, Mrs. Coyle, would you like to have your other members of the board come up and join you, or if they're comfortable where they are, that's fine?
Sure, absolutely.
Or introduce them.
Or, yeah, again, introduce them?
Sure. So again, Ray Gauthier is the chair for the Board of Health, and Carolyn Griffin is Board of Health member. We have a 3-member board, and of course, you know, Amy Sullivan, our recycling coordinator, has helped us out for years and years, and a lot of the DEP grants that we get would not be possible without Amy's expertise. So I wanted to just provide to you that we are considering this regulation. We have the public hearing later this week, this Thursday at 6, and I've provided a copy of the proposed regulation for you, just to, you know, for your knowledge and to take a look at it. Again, the way the regulation is put together, a lot of time and effort went into it by both boards, and we want people to recycle. The regulation is meant to encourage and meant to help people know what to do. You can see that in the text of it. And just to give you an idea of where the recycling rates are, they've pretty much remained flat over the past 3 years, although we have last 5 years of solid waste and recycling information in your packets. But they're right at about 24 to 25%, and really haven't gone much higher than that. So we know we have work to do. We're not afraid of the work. We just need help to do that. So this grant will allow a recycling coordinator to help us out in the field. So they're going to be out in the community, they're going to be here at the office, but they're going to be able to respond to people's needs. offer something?
I guess I do have one question. This is coming up, it sounds like there's been a problem with some materials into the trash stream that should not be there. Is there been issues come up that you've had bad material go into recycles and to trash? I guess I want to know where this is coming from.
Sure. We've definitely seen contamination in the recycling stream, so we want to educate. Again, it's about outreach and education to the residents to help us get the right materials into the right bins. And you may recall I was here last spring, and we did discuss in detail the grant that we were applying for, and we did receive approval for the grant. We have already submitted a draft implementation plan to the state, and it has been approved. So the last piece to get that funding for the part-time position is to pass the recycling regulation through the Board of Health. So as Darlene told you, the two boards, Darlene and myself, we worked together to make this as simple and as concise as can be. It's 2.5 pages long. It pretty much defines what the recycling is, what the recyclable materials are, what cannot be put into each bin, and I wanted to thank the Board of Health too. They did work really hard with us to get this drafted, so it was a joint effort, and it was.
Okay, I think it's a great idea to keep pursuing this. And with waste going the way it is, I think you need the recycles, and if the wrong materials get into the waste stream and goes to the incinerator, there could be hazardous problems over there also. And I take that from personal experience because I was one of the inspectors of boilers there. And some of the refuse that comes in, you never know what's coming in, and it does damage actually to the boilers. It can put them down and costly repairs. So if this can be restricted in any way, I think this would help them out as well as maintaining the waste cycle the way it should be. And I thank you very much. Has anybody got any comments? Okay. Have you got anything else? Okay. Thank you very, very much for coming in, and thanks for the information. Appreciate that. Okay. Let's go back and see where we are here. Okay, that is done. Okay, we have no communications tonight. And under the Board of Selectmen general items, we have the AMF Auburn Lanes. Is there anybody here from the 10-pin bowling alley? Okay, we'll move over items 7A, B. We've done 7C, D. Is there anybody here from the Boy Scout Troop 53? Okay, we'll skip over that for now. Let's see. We have a drain layers license under 7H, and it's PB Contractors of Auburn. Okay. And it's PB Contractors at 11 Orilla Street in Auburn. The requirements say that we don't have to have the drain layer here. We do have the paperwork come in. We have from the town of Shrewsbury a recommendation for, he's been a licensed drain layer and water installer in the city of Worcester for many years. And that's from the Assistant Director of Water Operations in Shrewsbury. We have the town of Watertown, whom concerned the successful completion of installation of various water and sewer and storm drains. So there's a recommendation here from Mr. Justin Pelletier, Assistant Superintendent of Water and Utilities at the Department of Public Works in Watertown, and also from the town of Belmont. We have another one here from Michael Bishop. He's the Department of Public Works Water Division. And to the Board of Selectmen, from our own Jeff Mitchell, March 30, 2017, the regular meeting of the Board of Sewer Commissioners voted to recommend the issuance. So the paperwork seems to be in place, the recommendations are there. What is the wish of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the license, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license, subject to all conditions stated upon it, fail to comply with any and all conditions, shall invalidate the license and render it null and void.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay, motion been made and seconded for the drain layer license for PB Contractors of Auburn. Any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Let's see. On 7I, we have vote to submit testimony in support of Senate Bill 1967, an act designating certain portion of State Highway as the Officer Ronald Tarantino Jr. Memorial Highway. Ms. Jacobson, please.
Certainly, through the chair, as you know, members of the board received an email from Senator Michael Moore's office letting you know that this bill had been filed and that there is a public hearing on it, I believe this Wednesday the 12th. And Senator Moore requested or offered to the board, if you wanted to submit testimony prior to that in writing, that he would make sure that it got to the committee chairs and provided us with the committee chairs' names. So I did take that information and put it into a draft letter of support for your consideration this evening. And if you're supportive of this, you could sign it tonight and we can get it off. We can fax it and make sure, or email it through PDF and make sure that it gets there in time for the hearing on Wednesday.
Okay. Is there any questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we approve the draft as written and send a letter of gratitude signed by the chair to Senator Moore for this very appropriate action.
Okay. Second. So the motion been made and seconded, and that's
Sign it tonight now.
Yeah, we can sign this tonight. It'll be...
We have the original right over here.
Okay, you've got the original, so we'll sign that, and also send a letter to Senator Moore for gratitude for him approaching us with this. So I'll pass that along. We'll sign that right now, and then you can have that back. Thank you very much. So the motion been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now we have some gift acceptances tonight. We have one from Masterman's, $400 for the Summer Concert Series 2017. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we accept the gift with gratitude with a letter to be sent to Masterman signed by the chair.
Second. So the motion been made and seconded. Sharon, have you got that? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mrs. Goodrich.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Excuse me. Before we move on to town manager items, while we're still on selectmen items, earlier this evening, one of our first orders of business was to ratify the town manager's contract. You know, and in my haste, I made the motion, but didn't actually make the motion in the legal form. So I'm wondering if it would be appropriate to make a motion to reconsider the motion, and I will read the legal form, and then the board can then vote on that.
Would you please?
I'll make a motion that we reconsider tonight's earlier motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
I wasn't present, so I'll abstain.
So now this is a new motion. So we have the Board of Selectmen's vote to ratify Amendment 1 to the Town Manager's Employment Agreement, whereas the Board of Selectmen authorize an employment agreement between the town and the Town Manager for a period of January 31st, 2014 through January 30th, 2019, whereas the Board of Selectmen has approved an Amendment Number 1 to the employment agreement attached to this vote between the town and the Town Manager. Now therefore be it voted that the Board of Selectmen of the Town of of Auburn as follows, that the Board of Selectmen ratifies Amendment 1 to the employment agreement attached to this vote between the town and the town manager.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. And do I hear an abstain?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, while we're still on Board of Selectmen items, I meant to say something when we had the Class 2 license, if I could indulge the board just to make a comment while Mr. Moody is here regarding licenses. I did meet with Mr. Moody prior to tonight's meeting with a concern that we have many Class 1 and Class 2 licenses that appear to have vehicles parked in many locations that may not be known to the town. And I asked him what the policy was regarding this, because it's my understanding if you have a license and you have 15 vehicles, that's how many you can park. Not like, oh, I think I'll go borrow 5 spaces from my fellow Class 2 license holder. And this issue came before us when we had a license applicant, which we ended up not approving, that they kind of played a shell game with us, saying, oh, well, we have permission to park 3 cars here, and then we're going to park some in the city. So in talking to Mr. Moody, there was no real standard for this. There's no bylaw. There's nothing. He's recommended that, possibly the Board of Selectmen could develop a condition to be placed on these licenses, but for our next meeting, I'd like to see something on the agenda to address this, and Mr. Moody was kind enough to wait just so he could just speak to this.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, if I may, there's currently no regulations in the bylaw. Whether it's done through the zoning bylaw review committee, if they look at it and choose to write a bylaw, or whether it's done through the Board of Selectmen and licensing as a condition, there's no enforcement. There's nothing. There's no teeth to it. I can't enforce anything, because if someone's storing cars on for instance, a seasonal business that's closed for the season, they have the available parking. There's nothing stopping me from saying they can't store those cars there.
And just to point out another fact that we discussed just for the rest of the board, there's a dealership for storage on the corner of Appleton and Route 20. And when they went through the planning board process, and I'm not even sure Mr. Carpenter, if you were on the board at the time, but there were specific requirements for how they were to park the cars, that they weren't to be displayed. They park them at the angle like this, and they were on display. That was for storage only. And it appears that in these other lots, they're not only putting them on display, but they're also possibly driving customers down. So, and I know we've talked about this. Enforcement of Class 1 and Class 2 licenses is almost a full-time job for you.
It is, and I don't know that there's anything saying that I'm the enforcement authority.
So we're just, so with the, I'm happy to put it on the next agenda item. I just would like to get something going with this and have it for the board for our next meeting.
Can we make a note of that so that we can discuss that possibly at our next meeting, please?
And I thank you, Mr. Moody, for the...
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moody. Thank you for being here. Okay. So we'll make a note of that, and we'll look into that for our next agenda. Thank you, Mrs. Goodrich. We have no proclamations. We have the, let's see, the town manager's goals and objectives. Before we do that, I'd like to go back to the warrant, wherever we had that. 7G. Okay. So we want to go back to 7G to finish that before we move on to the rest of the agenda. And, okay. And let's see, where were we?
Article 26.
Article 26, okay, Article 26, and this is voting on the Town of Auburn general bylaws for deleting, well, this is part of the dog license, late charges on unlicensed dogs. Is there a motion?
I want to make a motion, we recommend approval.
Second.
Okay, motion made second to recommend Article 26. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And 27, to amend the zoning bylaws, let's see, regarding billboards. And that'd be for trailer camps, mobile home sales, truck stops, and all open air storage of junk, including inoperable automobiles and all uses. So yes.
If I may,
Please,
through the chair, just a reminder, this is the article that we had brought in to the Board of Selectmen for your recommendation to pass it along to the planning board for the requisite hearings and process. And it did go with your recommendation to the planning board. The planning board also unanimously approved it. So this is their article as a follow-up to all of that.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to be consistent with our earlier communication with the planning board to recommend approval.
Okay, so we'll recommend approval for Article 27. Is there a second? Second. Okay, motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 28, to see if the town meeting will vote to amend town bylaw 1604, adequate public safety for radio coverage in buildings and structures. This is by the fire chief.
I'm going to make a motion that we recommend, but I do just have a question as to how this will affect the business. Is this a quick fix? Is this an easy fix for them? Or is this something that is going to involve time for them to comply and expense?
Jacobson.
Through the chair, it is my understanding from the fire chief, and I do want to apologize that he's not able to be here. They have a training in Oxford tonight, a regional training, so I apologize. But it's my understanding that this is here because occasionally there is the opportunity for the fire chief or his designee to make that determination, whereas right now there's no such wording in the language for that to happen. So it's not intended to make it any more onerous. As a matter of fact, it's my understanding it's to make it less onerous. So if there is the opportunity for a determination to be made by the chief, he can do so.
Okay, and again, this is for the adequate public safety, police and fire radio coverage in buildings or structures, and Lion and I can contest, can agree to that the Auburn Mall has had significant issues with radio transmissions from source to, from outside to inside because of the building. So, yeah, I think this is definitely something I would recommend. Myself, I would support this.
Yes. I did make the motion to recommend approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, Article 29, to see if the town meeting will vote to authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement for payments in lieu of taxes. And I guess I will ask Ms. Jacobson on this.
Through the chair, this is similar to an article that we put on, I think, 2 years ago to the town meeting to ask for a generic approval to enter into net metering credit agreements 2 years ago. Because with the solar industry and the way the credits run and the way the quickness of the business world runs, to have to go to town meeting and get a vote for a specific company, we could lose the opportunity to get that particular company. The other problem was if town meeting approves of that particular company, these solar companies are in this business to turn it over. They're solar developers, then they turn it over to somebody else who is the actual manager. So the name changes. So it was recommended at the time by town council to put in a generic article, which we did for net metering credit agreements. This is modeled after that. I will tell you, we have a company that is looking to put in a solar facility here in Auburn. The laws have changed significantly, and there's still some challenges out there that our assessor will tell you make it difficult for communities to enter into pilot agreements, but we are working with a solar developer who is very willing to enter into a pilot agreement in lieu of, which is payment in lieu of taxes, in lieu of being taxed as personal property, which is what the law allows, entering into a pilot agreement to establish a payment plan over 20 years so the town knows exactly what the payments will be coming to the town. Likewise, the developer knows exactly what the payments are going out as a result, versus basing it on personal property, which under the law has to be depreciated. So the upfront costs from the beginning, when you have multi-million dollars worth of property, and over the years it declines, but the beginning is when the developer needs more capital to get the project off the ground. So a pilot agreement to most solar developers is agreeable. So we are working with a specific company. Our concern is we didn't want to put the company in the actual vote, because should that company change, and since we've been doing this, we've had at least 6 companies turn over many different times to many different names, so we know what happens. This is a generic vote, but that is the project that we're looking to develop a pilot agreement for.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there a motion?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to recommend Article 29. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Article 30, to see if the town meeting vote to appropriate $100,000 from overlay surplus for miscellaneous building facility improvements as listed. You've got the bathrooms at Town Hall, the counter repairs, DPW building repairs, police station roof replacement, and on and on. So is there a motion?
Chairman, I just asked the CFO just to give us a brief description of the repairs. I'm sure they're looking at some of the buildings. I'm sure they're much needed, but...
Sure, we have an ongoing capital needs assessment that's performed annually by our facility maintenance crew. So we go through the buildings to identify what work needs to be done in conjunction with a list that's already been prepared. So this is an ongoing process. We did a similar article this fiscal year for $100,000 that identified some projects that weren't previously identified on the capital improvement plan. A lot of these projects do not qualify for bonding purposes that may have a value of under $10,000. So we're trying to get those done through a one-time revenue source, in this case overlay surplus. The overlay surplus has already been certified by the assessor's office in anticipation of this going to town meeting. So the projects identified before you tonight, first one's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to rehab these 2 bathrooms right out in the hall here. Long overdue. Kennel repairs are requiring new cages for the facility. A lot of the posts are rusted out and presenting a problem for our animal occupants there. DPW building repairs for the ventilation system in the garage area of the highway department. Currently, they're venting out the facility by opening windows and opening up garage doors. So we need a proper ventilation system for the safety of our employees. The painting of town offices will continue. This room was recently done. Next winter, when some of the staff are unable to do some outside work, they will concentrate on continuing to rehab this building here. The purchase and install key codes for securities. This was done as a result of a recent risk audit by our insurance carrier. So we want to keep the outside exterior doors closed. They are fire doors. We want to prevent the public from entering in those doors by putting in a keypad system. The police station roof needs to be reshingled. This work will be done by our own facility management group to save the town some money, like they did with the installation of the windows at the police department. This is also going to require a ventilation upgrade or an air conditioning unit for a closet that houses some server equipment that's generating some heat. This also was picked up through the risk audit as well. And we have a $10,000 contingency in the event these costs exceed what we believe to be good estimates at this point in time.
And through the chair, if I may add, that's perfect explanation of this. 2 years ago, because I'm not sure if Mr. Berthium was here, the board had given me a goal to come up with a 5-year facility improvement plan, and to attach to that plan a potential funding source or plan for funding the improvements at our municipal buildings over the 5-year period. And at the time I did that, I said I would come back and keep that updated. So this, as Eddie mentioned, is the update to that plan from 2 years ago. So that was just completed literally, I believe, last week. So we want to get that updated plan to you, but we had to get placeholders on the warrant before it was completed, so we didn't want to lose the window to get this work done. So as Ed explained, the DPW goes around, we check all the buildings, we get input from all of the department heads and all of the division heads as to what they may need in their own facilities for improvements, then we prioritize it. It's a long process. It's probably taken us, Eddie, myself, DPW, probably 4 or 5 months to do that. But it's a good process. It keeps our buildings hopefully in good shape, and this is a follow-up to that goal that the board set.
Okay. Mr. Berthium.
Just through the chair, as the town, as they go through, are we looking at, comparing, especially in looking at the roofs, going with a regular roof as opposed to the new metal roofing that tends to last a lot longer? Have we done any kind of comparison as to the little bit of extra money now to the extra years that we get, seeing that our buildings are really going to be useful for a long period of time?
That is a point well made. We do consider and explore any and all options relative to our building repairs and maintenance. Certainly we can keep that in mind going forward. I know the metal roofs are all depending, I think it requires a certain slope in order to use those type of materials. But that is something we can take up with our facility maintenance crew.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Motion to recommend.
Motion to recommend is and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Article 31, to see if the town meeting vote to appropriate for available funds sale of real estate, sum of $50,000 for a purpose of constructing a DPW facilities maintenance workshop at the DPW at 5 Millbury Street. Yes, Mr. Carpenter.
Now, am I correct in saying that they're building a whole new building for this on the property?
An extension to the existing building, correct.
Right, and this will make sure that it's properly vented, they have everything they need?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And this is a use of one-time funds as a result of the foreclosure sale that recently took place a few months ago. So this is a good use of those one-time revenues.
No, that's a very old building. It's been repurposed a number of times, as Mr. Holstrom, I'm sure, can relate. So I would make a motion, we recommend approval.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded for Article 31 to recommend. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Article 32, to see if the town meeting vote to appropriate from available funds sale of real estate, sum of $32,000 to perform additional site assessments and environmental monitoring at 5 Millbury Street. And I guess I will turn to
The purpose of this warrant article is to ultimately close out this project. It is still being monitored. This remediation was done as a result of a leak in a former gas storage tanks down at the highway department. Through the years, the town has spent a lot of money in cleaning up that site, as well as annual monitoring and reporting to DEP. We are hopeful that we can close out this project if these funds do get approved, after consulting with our environmental consultant.
Can I make a motion we approve
Okay, we recommend Article 32. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Thank you. Article 33, appropriate from general fund revenues a sum of $42,000 for the installation of a ventilation system at the DPW Highway Building Garage.
Recommend approval.
Second.
Motion made for recommendation and seconded for Article 33. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, then, thank you. Article 34, to see if the town meeting vote to amend the zoning bylaws. There's quite a bit to this one here. Is there any questions?
I would make a motion, we approve. We recommend approval.
Okay.
I would second that.
Recommend approval to Article 34 by the Planning Board. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And then Article 35, to see if the town meeting vote to amend the Town of Auburn zoning bylaws to create a temporary moratorium on the sale and distribution of recreational marijuana. Is there a motion?
Motion to recommend approval.
Okay.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to recommend approval of Article 35. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, that ends the town meeting warrant. Now we'll get back to town manager items. First off, we have the town manager goals and objectives. And this is something we do every year. I know that we're a little behind, but it's we still have 9 months to go, and we've got plenty of time to move on. So I will turn this over to Ms. Jacobson.
Certainly. Sorry, I was pulling up the other item. I'm sorry. So every year the board asks me to come in and present to you some recommended goals for your discussion and consideration. I know we have been trying to keep it down to 3, but I actually had 5 that I wanted to recommend, 2 being a continuation that I still think we need to keep front and center as a priority of the town because it's something that collectively we should all be working on. So the 2 continued goals that I think we should keep in there is continuing the master plan process, recognizing it's multi-year. We're going to be working on it all year anyway, but I think the importance of making it a goal is it lets everyone who's involved in the process, from the volunteers in the community to the departments that are involved, know that the board supports this and that it is a priority to get this project done. So I'd like to keep the master plan process as a continued goal. I'd like to keep the zoning bylaw review process as a continued goal for the same reasons. These multi-year projects are they're time-consuming for the volunteers, and they're also daunting. And it's good for the volunteers who participate on the review committees, as well as for all of the employees who work on it, and the public to know that this is a priority, not just of town administration, but of the town, that these are important projects that we need to do. So in similar keeping to what we did with the goals when we were doing the general bylaw update, that was a continued goal for several years, just to make sure that we keep moving it along. So I would recommend those 2 as a continuation. I would recommend, this next one is kind of a continuation, but not really. I would recommend that the goal be to complete the housing plan under the community compact. Again, the goal last year was to get a housing plan underway, so we spent much of the year applying for community compact designation, had to go through a grueling grant process to seek and secure grants from the state, which we did, and we were able to get a housing subcommittee put together in January. So it has started, and our goal is to complete it by the end of September, recognizing it may take a couple more months after that. But once it's complete and Mrs. Brotherton serves on that housing committee, it still needs to get incorporated into the master plan because the housing plan is one piece of it, and then the master plan has to have it. So I think, again, to keep it in the spotlight, to let everyone know and who's working on this, and to let the public know that this is an important project. I think it should be a goal.
Well, to let you know that it is in the spotlight, we were at the Worcester Regional Selectmen's Association meeting the other night, and one of the representatives from the Housing Board did come forward and mention that Auburn is well in advance of the programs, and we have a good program in place, and it is continuing. So we are on the map, and so thank you very much for that, and I think this is definitely a goal we should pursue, and I think that along with the compact that we signed, it goes hand in hand, and I think we move forward.
It does, and thank you. And I think it should remain a goal because it is part of the community compact. The state, we have an agreement with the state to keep these projects front and center, so I think it makes sense for the board to have that as a continued goal. So on top of those 3 additional ones, and I know we tried to keep to 3, but there were 2 additional ones I wanted to propose. And one, I want to give credit to Mrs. Goodrich, who had brought the idea. She had gone to an MMA conference and attended a session on this and came back and was very impressed with what they were doing and gave me a lot of materials, and I've taken some time to look through it and would like to propose the following: to develop a leadership academy or a citizens academy, but let's just call it a leadership academy, to inform and educate residents on the operations of town government in order to provide a greater understanding of their local government and to stimulate future interest in serving on boards and commissions. In other words, the police have a police academy, the fire have a fire citizens academy. It's to engage citizens so they understand what the local government process is. And by understanding more of the local process, maybe we're developing future town meeting members, future board and commission members. So I think it would be a good thing to do, understanding that it's now April. My goals have to be done by the end of January, so it's not quite a full year. But if we could just say to develop the academy, I don't want to say to actually hold it, because the academy is probably going to take some 12 weeks to even hold it, and you don't want to hold it
So you want to
in the middle of winter.
Sure.
So let's get the program in place, get the program, the speakers. My vision is probably for a DPW evening, or the different departments that don't have their own fire academy to be present to the public. And
I think that's an excellent suggestion, Mrs. Goodrich. Ms. Goodrich.
If I may, Mr. Chair,
Please.
thank you. So actually, I had attended the MMA conference, the annual meeting, prior to attending the police academy and the fire academy. And after attending both the police academy and the fire academy, it only reinforced the importance of residents having the opportunity to understand how their town operates. I've recommended residents to participate in the police and fire academy. They're holding a citizens police academy right now where people who I've said, sign up for it, and every week they send a message to me saying how impressed they are and how much they've learned about a department that they already thought they knew how it operated. So I just am really excited. I was excited when I attended the MMA conference. I'm more excited now that we've had the police and fire academy, and I think if our residents had an understanding of the operation of our entire town and its departments, it would be a great thing. And thank you for considering it for one of your goals.
It's my pleasure. It will take some time. That's why I'm just concerned, because we don't have a whole year, which again, I know we're talking about my goals, but perhaps in the future we might want to consider establishing the goals in January. I know you won't have your report from me, because under the process that the board's adopted, I turn in my report at the end of February. So I know you won't have the report from the prior year, but it would still be nice to talk about and establish the goals in January. Then we'd have a whole year to accomplish them. So it's a little short of the year on this one. It's about 7 months to get this done. I think the good thing would be develop it, put it together, get everything all in place, and then we still have to be able to find locations and times and dates and things like that. But it would be nice to be able to launch it in the spring. But to have it all in place, and again, I have until the end of January under the system now to get this done. And then the last one, I'd like to propose that we develop a Chapter 61A, Chapter 61B procedure policy. Now, as you know, under Mass General Law, Chapter 61A, which we had that happen, there is a policy, there's a procedure in place that's defined by Mass General Law, but a lot of communities have their own process that has to complement Mass General Law, I can't go against it, but it's in addition to Mass General Law. What would we do internally next time we get notification? It's really memorializing the process so that we make sure we have in writing what we'd like to do. So putting together a written policy for how to handle notifications when we're told that a 61A or 61B, a 61A being agricultural, and 61B being forestry. When those come to the town, who are we going to notify? What's the process for notifying? How long do they have to get back to us? So we're within that 120 days. Senator Moore has filed the legislation again for us to try to amend this chapter to give us a broader time frame than currently exists under Mass General Law. But I still think we need a process, a policy, and then my recommendation would be I could bring it to the board, and the board could vote on it and adopt it as a written policy.
I do recall the last time we had the 61A event, there was some debate and some argument about who was notified when, and I think a policy in place would kind of put that all away so that there wouldn't be any other question or comment on it. Okay, is there any questions, comments?
Is there, I know that it's goals and objectives agreed on by the board and the town manager. Is there any action that we're taking tonight?
I think that you would vote for these to be the goals. I would request that you consider that this evening just to get started.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 5 goals as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Well, being none, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And so we have goals for the 2018 year, and please come to us also and ask us any questions or any help we can be. Please.
No, that's great. That's great. I think these are really good goals for the town. They're broad picture, visionary type things that we need to keep our eye on.
No question. And it is, the continuation of the housing plan, that's a great thing, but also the Leadership Academy, I think, is an outstanding idea, and bring more people on board with Chief what goes on in Town Hall and how does it work, and with all the departments around town.
Yeah, it might be a great way to engage people
Absolutely.
in the process and get them excited and interested in wanting to serve. And quite honestly, a little bit off the topic, but it's something worth mentioning. Municipalities are having a very hard time recruiting and attracting people into certain municipal positions. We don't have that problem now because we don't have those vacancies, but down the road for succession planning, we are going to have vacancies as we have attrition and retirement. People aren't coming out of school with an interest in municipal accounting or municipal assessing, and those are really specific fields. So if we can start to engage people in town, and maybe a younger group in town as well, to start thinking that way, that maybe over time we can use this as kind of a job development tool for the future.
Absolutely. And then again, with the procedure policy for 61A and B, I think we got bit by that dog, and I think it's proactive to go forward, get a policy now so that we can handle this from now on, so that this is the policy the town is going to go by, and we go from there. And I think there's going to be a lot of input by a lot of people, and hopefully the public will come forward and say, you know what, after we put something together, that maybe they can have some discussion on it, say, what do you suggest about this, or what do you think about this? And I think that'd be a good thing. But I think the goals are definitely great, and it'll help the town move forward. Thank you. Okay, now this is back to 8B. This is a vote on the ballot question on the recreational marijuana per Chapter 334 of the Acts of 2016. And Ms. Jacobson, if you would, please.
Gladly, thank you. Through the chair, I sent an email to the board last week just letting you know and giving you a heads up that we would be bringing this in. And I just want to explain why it's being brought in this evening. The law did pass in November, ballot question number 4. And if I can just review a couple things for the public. I know you have it in front of you, but if anyone's listening and does come back and ask you questions. Basically, I am recommending that the board consider placing a ballot question on the May 16th town election this year to ask the voters if they would like to prohibit recreational marijuana establishments as defined in the law as to what those are, or not. And just so I can back up, so there's two parallel courses of action here. You just saw the warrant article where we're recommending moratorium. So the moratorium is being recommended because the state won't be promulgating the regulations until March of 2018. So we're asking for an 18-month moratorium, so our ZBA and Planning Board and Zoning Bylaw Review have time to hear what those recommendations are and what the regulations are a year from now, March of 18, and then only have, at that point, 5 months to put together a bylaw, go through the entire process, and then get it back to a town meeting vote in the fall of 18. So we're working on that course. But excuse me, under Chapter 334, Section 3 of the Acts of 2016, which is the new recreational marijuana bylaw, the voters are given the right to weigh in on the issue as to whether they want to allow such recreational marijuana establishments in their community. My feeling is if it's in the law to give the residents the opportunity to take a vote, then we should be giving them that opportunity. We're not telling them if they should vote yes or they should vote no, but they should have the opportunity to weigh in. So the overall in Massachusetts, ballot question 4, which was to legalize marijuana, passed by 53.6% who voted yes to 48.4%, and that was a typo in my first one. 49. I'm sorry. 46. That one was right. It's been corrected. I'm sorry. So that's right. The 46.4%. Against it. In Auburn, the margin was about 1.14%. 50.6% voted yes. 49.4% voted no. So it wasn't an overwhelming mandate either way. So by putting this ballot question on, I just want to be clear, this does not take away anybody's right under the new law to possess and utilize marijuana for purposes personal use in accordance with the new law. There are restrictions and regulations. This has nothing to do with that. This ballot question also has nothing to do with the home grow provisions. Under the law, they're allowed to do that. The only thing under the new law that residents can weigh in on is whether to allow the commercial recreational marijuana establishments to open in their communities. So that is the piece of the law that have given the voters the opportunity to do that. Under the law, the Board of Selectmen would have to vote to place this ballot question on. So a ballot question was written up, and we provided it to Town Council to review. It is based on, at this point, I'm going to say at least maybe a dozen communities that are looking to do this, and their May town election. Some of them weren't able to get it on their ballot in time. You have until you have to have it done and approved by your board 35 days before the election. The reason a lot of communities, including us, are waiting until now is the legislature's been reviewing this new law for a couple of months, and I attended and actually testified at a hearing on this past Monday, waiting to see if the legislature was going to maybe make a commitment to changing some of the laws regarding the so-called local option opt-out process, which this is. They're not there yet. They may make changes down the road, but until they make changes, that's the law. And the law says that the voters have the opportunity to vote to create an ordinance or a bylaw to prohibit the recreational sale, which is the gray area here is, under Mass General Law, no ordinance or bylaw requires a vote of the voters. It requires a vote of your local legislative body, which in our case is the town meeting. So that's why we're all waiting to see if the legislature would make that correction. I think down the road they may, but until they do, this is the way the wording is in the language. The ballot question mirrors the law. If down the road, and the Attorney General's office has encouraged communities to go forward and do this now, not knowing how long it might take to revise the language in the new law, if down the road it turns out that they revise the language and you don't need to do this, there's no negative impact. Maybe it requires a vote of town meeting at that point if that's what they say, but there's no financial negative impact to the town as far as causing any concerns. I will say, if it's challenged by the recreational marijuana industry and they want to challenge any of these communities, the Attorney General's office, Secretary of State's office is saying right now the way the language was drafted and voted on by the public, they don't know how it would stand up to a challenge. No one knows. But I think by the time that happens, the legislature will have made their tweaks. So the ballot question that you have before you was developed, and it's really a model that's been circulating among all the communities in Massachusetts, and everyone is using pretty much the same model.
And so you're looking for our support on this, so to put
Yes,
this
looking for you
ballot
to
question
vote.
on our ballot for the annual town meeting. So there will not be
No,
a special
I'm sorry,
election?
annual election.
The annual
On May
election.
16th.
On May 16th. So there will not be a special election?
Correct.
It'll all be part of the annual?
There would be no cost to do this. And as you can see, if you do decide to do that, and if you look back at the warrant that we were just looking at, the very last page of the warrant, it's not an article, but at the back page of the warrant shows what offices are up for election. So this would then appear on it if you vote to amend it. We will include that as the last page. And when it gets sent out to the town meeting members, they will see the warrant question in there. Excuse me, ballot question in there.
Any questions, comments? Mr. Berthew?
If this goes to ballot and for approval, how, I mean, other than through higher law, how would the town be able to reverse it if they decided they wanted to? Should this be put on the ballot to be for a period of time, or is there a process for the town to then overturn it after?
There is no period of time when you put a question on, such as this. There's no period of time for this. The moratorium is an 18-month period of time. It's my understanding the Attorney General's office wouldn't approve of a question that had a specific period of time. That being said, it's my understanding that any question that's approved by a vote of the voters can be overturned by a vote of the voters, but they have to be a certain, you have to follow Mass General Law for filing a petition to overturn that particular vote. In the meantime, just to be clear, a yes vote would mean that the public would want to prohibit these types of facilities. Just because they vote yes doesn't mean it's been prohibited. We still then need to go through the whole bylaw amendment process, which the moratorium would give us a chance to do. So we still have to go through and develop a bylaw that prohibits this type of activity, send it to town meeting, send it to the Attorney General. So it still takes several months. If the public votes no on it, then we're going to proceed with the process that we're already thinking of anyway, which is to develop a bylaw to regulate the industry as opposed to prohibit it.
Mr. Berthew? Okay. What is the wish of the board?
Motion to recommend approval of the ballot question.
Okay, the motion's been made to recommend the addition of the ballot questions for ballot for the annual town election. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair, in that case now, I would recommend that the board
get back to
take a motion to amend the warrant
7G
to include this ballot question on the last page of the warrant.
And that'd be
I
on
don't think you have to vote to open the warrant and close it because it's not a warrant article.
Right.
You're just adding something at the back of a warrant that's being mailed out, and it gets posted with everything else.
Okay, so I think we go back to 7G.
Well, we need to take the motion. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to amend the warrant to include the ballot question at the end of the warrant.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your consideration.
Okay. We have no tabled items tonight. No Board of Selectmen member items. Are there any public comments? We have no minutes tonight. And
Chairman, we have a couple outstanding.
yes, we do. Thank you very much for that. We have items 7A and 7B. That's the AMF Auburn Lanes. There was no representative here tonight, so I'd like to move those to our next agenda and have the office notify them and ask them, are you going to be willing to attend? And then we have Troop 53 from Faith Church. They have an open air permit coming forward for May 12th to May 14. There's been no representative here for them. If we could send them a note and let them know that they were asked to be here tonight, but if they couldn't make it, can we do that for our next agenda? Mrs. Goodrich.
Do we have confirmation that they were asked to be here? I just want to be sure that Troop 53 was.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Berthew.
On that item, if this is something that Troop 53 has done every year, is there really a need for them to be there for us to just approve it? I mean, can we just go ahead and approve that? I'd make that motion.
I don't have any problem with that. What's the wish of the board?
I would second Mr. Bertheum's motion.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And
We'll just say we didn't follow the proper
You want me to
language.
you want to waive the fee?
And we would want to waive the fee, but if we do it for everybody else, we should use the language consistently, or that's what I've been told, so.
So I'll go.
Okay, so you'll amend your motion to...
I'll amend the motion to make a motion to approve the license provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all the conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all the conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void. In addition, the board, I'd like to waive the fee, being a nonprofit.
Okay, so the motion's been made. Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And again, for the AMF Auburn Lanes, we have those two. We'll see if we can add those to the agenda for our next meeting. Has anybody else got anything tonight? I thank you all. It's been a great meeting tonight. Very, very productive. Thank you very much. And congratulations to our town manager for another 6 years with us. We can't wait to have that happen. And on anything else, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.